So let's record the lesson. I'm just going to quickly go through this PowerPoint because, as I said, I did make a video of it, and you can sort of watch the video. But the idea here is that you learn how to working with a single table. So this was not too tricky. Actually, one of the questions that I made a video about last weekend was requiring two tables. So this doesn't require two tables. It's just one table. But you're getting an idea of all of the different sort of ways of using a select statement. And so we've got these things like we can get a range of records. We can get records that have wildcards in them. We can use like. So for example, we'd use like if we wanted to get all the records of the customers whose name starts with A, or all the customers who have a name that has the word check inside it, or something like that. An in operator allows you to get all the records where they're within a list, so you can create a list and then relate that to one of the fields. Okay, and sorting, order by. We don't use the word sort in SQL. We use the word order, the statement order by, and that allows you to order things in ascending or descending order. Ascending from smallest to biggest, descending from biggest to smallest. Aggregate functions return a single line, a single row, but they will give you things like totals, averages, maximums, minimums, counts. Null values you're allowed to have in fields. It's up to you because you create your database, right? But you are allowed to have a field that doesn't have any data in it if you've allowed nulls. And so you can check for nulls to see if nulls exist. All right, so a query, we use this word query. Query, it just means a question, doesn't it? So the idea with a relational database is everything is stored in tables, and we as the human operator are able to make questions to the database, and the database is able to respond to us in a sort of human-like way. So we can have these, we call them ad hoc queries, where we can just say, oh, okay, so who are all the customers whose credit limit is less than 500? So that's a kind of a question that maybe a business person might have. Well, can SQL help us with that? Absolutely. SQL can say select star from customer where a credit limit is less than 500, and that would return to you all the rows from the customer table where the credit limit is less than 500. And so we have uh, this structure in an SQL query once the data's in the tables, and that's what we were doing in the first couple of lessons, is putting the data in the tables. Once the data is in the tables, in today's lesson we're focusing on a single table at a time. Once the data is in the table, we can we can query the table as if we were a business manager using some business rules, but we have this particular structure of doing it. Select means give me these fields or these columns from this table. That's what the select does. Give me the columns. From means after the from we say which table. And actually, you'll see in later lessons we can do multiple tables, but for a single table today, where is a filter, where we apply a filter because we don't always want to have all the rows. The whole idea of the select statement is we just want to get some of the data, right? And so where is where we limit or filter the data so we only get the stuff that we want, or we apply some conditions. So we can, for example, list the numbers, the customer IDs, the names, the balances from the table using these kinds of queries. You can do a query without a where clause. Any query that doesn't have a where clause in it will return all the rows. So you would only use that if you just wanted to know, list all the names of all the customers, and no need for a where, because they will all come, and that could be quite useful. So I hope you can see here, it's kind of small, but there is a select statement in there, which is getting the three things in the top line. They are the columns that are going to be retrieved from where? From the customer database, sorry, customer table. There is nowhere, so it's going to return all of them. But why didn't we just do select star from customer? That would have given all of the fields and all of the rows. It's because we didn't want all of the fields. We only wanted some of them. So there was some stuff, there's some data in the customer table that we didn't want. So we only picked the stuff that we did want. Asterisk is a wild card, and we use that to get all the all the columns. If we so that would be the simplest way of getting all the data from a table. Select star from part just retrieves the entire table. The where clause, as I said, is used as a filter. The where clause narrows down the number of rows that you will get. The select gets the columns. The where gets the rows. Okay, and so for example, if we just wanted all the details on customer number 148, we could say select star from customer where customer number is equal to 148. And so that's well, here we're not doing star, we're just getting the customer name. Select the customer name from customer, and this will only return one row and one column because only one column is mentioned in the select and only one row is allowed from the where. With the where conditions, we can use all of this relational algebra, we call it, but we can set things equal to or less than or bigger than or not equal to. We can use all of those things. So the conditions are part of the where clause. The where clause can be compound or it can be simple. If it's simple, it just means that we only have one condition. If it's compound, then we have multiple conditions and we'll use a compounding, uh, well, I'm not sure the English name for them, but yeah, and, or, not. And we'll look at those in a minute. So here's an example of a simple one. We've only got one condition, one thing to limit the number of rows, which is that the credit limit where the balance has to be bigger than the credit limit. We have limited the number of columns to be these 3 columns. So we get the 3 columns, the customer name, their customer number, 4 columns, their balance and their credit limit, and we can compare because we've said that the balance must be bigger than the credit limit. Now, there's lots of other rows in the table. They're not showing up in the answer because they don't meet this criteria. The where is not true for them. Compound conditions, as opposed to that simple condition, the compound condition, we can have multiple conditions and they're going to be joined by words like and, or not. Okay, and so if you have a and, we've got 2 conditions here, right? What we're getting here, we're getting the description from the part table. We have 2 conditions. Firstly, we only want the records where the warehouse that the record is in warehouse 3. And I guess there's warehouse 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. But there's another condition. The and means that not only do we have to meet this criteria, we have to meet this criteria too. So and actually limits the number of rows even further. And we'll see that in the next slide, I think, because what this means is that the part called iron is found in warehouse 3, and there's 25 of them on hand. Both those things must be true in order to get this row, and that's the case. Now, if we change the and to an or, then either of these conditions can be true, and we can see that the result is much bigger. We have many more items because any of these items could either be in what this actually returns is all the items that are in warehouse 3, but it also returns all the items that are in that have more than 25 on hand, and it doesn't matter which warehouse they're in. I hope you can see that the way that SQL was designed, the way that SQL was engineered, was so that ordinary business people could have some kind of interface with a computer system. You don't have to write big long code. It's kind of almost English like, get this field from this table where this condition. It shouldn't take you very long to sort of get the idea on this. Now, what's this one? Here's another one. What we're saying here is, all right, so some of the parts are found in a warehouse called warehouse 3. What I actually want is the parts that are not found in warehouse 3. So they could be in warehouse 1, 2, 3, 2, not 3, 4, 5, as long as it's not 3. So this is going to exclude from my result everything that's in warehouse 3, but everything else will be included. So between, that's going to give us a range of values. So we're still talking about where condition. Now we're going to get the rows where we have a range of values between an upper and a lower limit. And you can see that happening here. The lower limit is 2,000. The upper limit is 5,000 for the field balance. We're getting from the table only these three columns, and it's the rows that are returned must be in this range between 2,000 and 5,000. And what you see is the three columns. That's the select three columns, and you can see that the range is there for the balance only must be no less than 2,000 and no more than 5,000. And so that has worked. So we've got some other things that we can do. We can actually take numeric values like the balance and the credit limit and manipulate them and return the result of that manipulation. So we can add them together, we can subtract them, we can multiply them, we can divide them. And that's what we've done here is that instead of returning the credit limit and the balance separately, what we've done is we've taken the credit limit and subtracted the balance from it and returned that number. So these numbers here do not appear in the database, do not appear in the table, but we calculated them and then showed them on the screen. And so we get this credit limit minus balance as a column head. Um, there's no where condition there, is there? All we're doing is we're saying we're going to get this value minus that value. So this is all the records, and it's the credit limit minus the balance. Now that's kind of an ugly way of displaying that, and so you can use an alias here. So that's what we've done here. If you look at this, we're selecting this column, and there's a comma there, and we're selecting instead of either this column or that column, we're selecting the value in that column minus the value in that column, and then we're going to display it with this name. And so we see the new column name is there, available credit, but we have that data, which is a calculated data. Like operator, this is a wildcard, the percent. What this one actually means is we're going to get all the values where central is in the middle. We don't care what comes before central. We don't care what comes after. That's what the percent here before means. Percent before means we don't care what comes before. Percent after means we don't care what comes after. So these records would both be returned. Why? Because we don't care what comes before and we don't care what comes after. So that's what that is. Uh, I will get disconnected because I need to leave. Okay, that's fine. Um, yeah, fine. Thanks for coming. I'll take a record. So I noticed that student. Yeah, sir, I will join again from another device. That's fine. Welcome. So I hope this is making sense. I haven't had some too much sort of pushback on that, so I'm hoping it's making sense. It is kind of English-like, we hope. Right. So the in operator, that's where we have a list. We take one of the fields that we want from our output, and we know some values that could be in that field. We make a list of those values, and then we ask in our where statement, we ask that the value must be from that list. So here we have it, right? We're saying, okay, so credit limit. I know that there are some customers that have a credit limit of 5,000, 10,000, and 15,000. What I want you to do is to display. So that's what the select is going to do. It's going to give the customer number, the customer name, and the credit limit from the customer table, but only if their credit limit is in this list. No other values will be displayed. But if their credit limit is one of these things in this list, then it will be displayed. And you see the result there. We see that these guys had 10,000, 5,000, 10,000, 15,000, 10, 5. So their value for their credit limit was in the list that we used with the in state, the in attribute. Sorting, we don't use the word sort, we use order by. And order by can be ascending or descending. Ascending means from small to big. Descending means from big to small. If we don't say ascending, descending, then it will be ascending. Ascending is the default. Now we talk about a minor and a major sort key. Major means it's the one that we do the first sort. So we can do two sorts in the same SQL statement, in which case the first sort, we call that the major sort. It'll be sorted on that. And then the second sort is the minor sort, will be sorted within the first sort. And we have an example of that, right? So here we have, it's sorted by two, no, it isn't. I'm sorry, this is a descending, sorting in reverse order. It'll be the next slide, sorry. So what we've done here is we have not accepted the default. So we're going to order by credit limit, but we're going to force it to be in descending order. That means from biggest to smallest, and that's how we get that. I'm sorry, I will get to the minor sort key. Yes, it does have. Oh, I'm sorry, it does have the minor sort key is there. We're sorting on two things. We sort on the credit limit and the customer name. So you can see that, right? So we sort it by the credit limit. Sorry, by the credit limit. So 15,000, 10,000, 7,000, 5,000. So it is sorted by the. That's the major sort, is by the credit limit. So we see that the biggest numbers at the top, the smallest numbers at the bottom. But we have a lot of records which have the same credit limit. So then we apply the minor sort only to the ones that have the same. So the major sort is going to be on the credit limit. That's sorted first. And then within each of these, so within the 10,000s, we'll notice that they are being sorted in alphabetical order ascending. So the B comes before the BA comes before BR, and BR comes before J. And then we start again. See, this is A is only sorted within the 7,500s because otherwise it should have been before J, right? But no, because the major sort was on the number. So we sorted all the numbers. Then within the numbers, if they're the same, then we sort by alphabetical on the customer name. So that is a major sort applied and a minor sort. All right, so next we have this concept of these aggregation. You can take all the numeric values of a table, or you can apply the where clause to them, or whatever. But you can to a certain output from the table, you can do these calculations. So it could be all the values in the table, or you could have a where clause say, I want to get the average of the records where the customer name starts with C. You could do that. But I think you'll see that yeah, that's what we've done here, right? So I want to get a count of all the parts where they're in the class hardware, right? And so through the table, this applies the number of rows that are done by the first part of uh, that select. But then it just counts them. It just counts those records, and we get that value of 3. Sum is just going to add them up. So oh, look at this. This is lovely, right? We got a sum, an average, a max, and a min from the customer. And this is on the entire table because there's nowhere. And so it's going to give you the total of all the balances, how much is outstanding, the average balance, the max, and the min. Null value, I hope I explained that okay. The idea is that you could have a field which allows that you didn't know what it was. So maybe you had a customer and you know their name, but you don't know their street. So you allowed a null. In this case, none of our customers don't have a street address. Update allows you to go into the table and change a value in a field. And so that's what's happening here. We just say update, then so there's a few things that are required, right? Update, then set. Then here you make the change that's necessary. So for the customer, you're going to change the name to A1 Appliances and the city to Grove, but only when the customer ID is 1. Now you that where condition would be pretty important. If we didn't have the where condition, we would change all the customers in the entire database to A1 Appliances. So the where condition when you're doing an update is really kind of important. The alter table, that's a different thing. With the alter table, what you're doing is you want to change the structure of the table. So maybe you want to add a field because you didn't do it before. You can do that with alter table. And that is the exercise for today on that. Sorry, what you have to do now is you have to answer these questions. So you need to download this Word document and you need to go through and answer it. Now, I have made a video on that also. How do you create a table in SQL? Use the create table command. How do you delete a table? Don't I did mention delete, but don't do delete. You can just drop a table. Common types, data types. So you should know about char, varchar, date, date time. No, what are some of the other ones? The numeric ones, numeral and int. So then you have to choose which ones of these. So with anything that's a date or a time, you've got a date or a date time. Employee ID, don't use numbers for key fields like that. unless you're going to use rule of thumb, right? If you may see a number, but don't make it a numeric field unless you're going to do some mathematics on it, right? So you wouldn't, for example, we have student numbers at the college. They all start with 60. We wouldn't add them up or calculate the average student number or the maximum student number or the minimum student number. We don't do that, right? We don't do math on that. So we would store that as a character field, not as a numeric field. The difference between char and varchar, I talked about that in the video as well. So you can go through each of those, and I hope that helps. So, right, do we have much time left in the video? How much time we got? Any questions? I don't see the. So somebody's talking, or is it me talking? Come on. So I minimized this and I can't really see it. One time when I want to see. All right. So yeah, nobody's saying anything. So what I might do. Um, Oh yeah, no, I'm not going to try and sort of load up that database at the moment because it'll take me 5-10 minutes. So what I'll do is I'll get it ready and then I'll make another little video. Uh, so I don't know what you mean by Visual Studio Code in the college system in the college. Um, anyways, maybe you guys can sort of sort that out. So any questions? As I said, I'm going to put a little video together on how to use the script with SQL online. I'm not going to do that now because it would involve sort of 3 or 4 minutes of me kludging around, and that's kind of boring for you and also for me. I prefer to do it while people aren't watching, to be honest. All right. I just checked. There is none. It says contact your administrator. There's none of what? I'm not sure. I've been there. There is, if not simply download, I guess, but there should be. I don't know what you guys are talking about, to be honest. Visual Studio Code. Oh, you want to install Visual Studio Code onto your computer? You don't need to use Visual Studio Code. You could use brackets, or you could use Notepad++. So I encourage you to use Visual Studio Code because that's what the instructors in your courses that come after this, that's what they'll be using. And so it'll be more familiar to you, but you don't have to. You should be able to download it. It's You're in the college. Is that what the problem is? You're in the college in a classroom. Is that what the problem is? Uh-huh. So I see, because yeah, okay. So if you're in the college in the classroom, you want to use Visual Studio Code, yeah, you got a problem. You got to go and talk to the IT people, or you need to tell somebody we need to put a ticket in so that they can. So if you were in one of, there's two different kinds of rooms, right? There's rooms that are what we call production rooms. Now, those are very carefully controlled by the IT department here, right? And so they decide what software goes on those computers in those production rooms, and we have to put in a ticket, and then they will install it for you. That takes time. The other rooms are what we call the VLAN rooms, and in the VLAN rooms, we have control over the software and the students. So you could just, when you go into a room, you can ask, is this a VLAN room or not? If it's a VLAN room, you'll log in, and well, it'll be kind of different in the way that you log in. You won't have to use your cutter. You won't have to use your. If you're in a VLAN room, you should be able to just download the Visual Studio onto the computer. It's a free software that is available by just, Visual Studio. Just do a Google on it and you can install that. Yeah. Any other sort of questions? Anyway, so that was an interesting question about what software we're using. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, it's fine. So as I said, if you're in a production room, you won't be able to do that without first talking to somebody about getting it installed. But I mean, thanks for raising that, because really it should be in all of our production rooms, because anybody who's doing software will be using it. Um, any other sort of queries? No. So what if you'll let me, then what I will do is I'll leave the meeting. I'll take a note of who's here. How yeah, I'll try to. Yeah, here we go. Participants. I'll take a note of who's here, and I will go and make that little video on using a script. So have a look. You'll see shortly on D2L a couple of videos come up. One will be a video on which is this recording, and the other will be on scripting. So you'll see that shortly. Today I shall do that. Okay, so there we go. So who we got here? Hamid's trying to get in. Okay, right. So let's do it again. Right. So I'm going to end the meeting then. There was some students that wanted to talk to me about something. I am in my office. I do have another meeting at 9:30, so I might seem a little bit what's the word, sort of pressured or whatever. If you can deal with that, then you're always welcome. When I say, can you deal with that? I do get grumpy when I'm pressured. But can you deal with that? We'll see, right? All right. So somebody's put some things here, right? My office is 10258. I'm warning you though, I might be grumpy today. I got 6 hours of classes. All right. So just warning, that's all. All right. I'm going to close the meeting now. I'm going to try to. Oh, well, somebody's still trying to chat with me. Yeah, I seem happy. That it's all fake though. No, I'm kidding. No, I'm very, very happy. All right, I'll see you in a bit, students. I'm going to end the meeting. Thanks a lot. Nice to talk at you. See ya.